Good afternoon, LinkedIn. Thank you very much for clicking on this, and hopefully just 5 minutes max, I promise. I won't go on too long. I hope you all had a great Easter. We're back in the studio here in Stockholm, and today I wanted to talk to you about how to gamify your industry. What on earth are you talking about, Daniel? That's what I can imagine you might be thinking right now. Gamify, we're a serious company. We make serious products and services. But I want to show you a couple of great examples from a customer of ours and also from Microsoft, who have done this with Excel, believe it or not, their product that we all know, love and hate. How do you gamify your products in a way that you can create content and bring together people in your industry and make a game out of your products? And this really came back from 2003, really, when we had the conversation with our amazing customer, Logitech. And we were brainstorming, like, how do we create more content? How do we engage customers, particularly on the B2B side, where quite often in industries, the marketing is quite flat. It's quite limiting. It doesn't get people excited. And we came up with, a way of gamifying something that actually was not obvious that it was gamifiable. So it got me thinking. I'll take you through that example in a minute, but it got me thinking that, what does this mean for all companies? Is it possible to gamify the company in a way that it scales and that people are interested? And the key is to embed the products and services in the game and then live stream it and record it. Before I show you this example, we're living in an era of incredibly low cost distribution of content. You can go live now on LinkedIn, as I'm doing. This is costing us nothing. We can send this out. I've got a couple of thousand followers on my LinkedIn account. The company has something similar. So the potential reach is huge. And especially if we get some people to share this, which would be great. If you could do that right now, repost it, I'd very much appreciate it. But we're living in this great era of free distribution on content. And, 10 years ago, this would have cost 1 million kroners, this production right here. But nope, today we can do it for virtually nothing. So this opportunity is immense for all companies out there. I should also say that the algorithms behind many of the social media companies are supporting live content. They really want to become broadcast channels. That's where the eyeballs are. That's where the engagement is. So they are all trying to encourage businesses to do live streaming, and that they get rewarded for it. So it gets much more exposure organically when you go live. So this is something that all companies should be considering. But let me dive in right now to this incredible example that we worked with Logitech on, called the Video Installation World Cup. And Andreas, if you could just share the screen. Thank you. So here is the homepage for this idea. And we wanted to basically, how does Logitech, who make these incredible products, and one of the verticals they have is conference room hardware and software. So many of us have been in meeting rooms with the Logitech products in them. How do we, turn that into content? So some smart people came up with the idea of basically gamifying this. Now, Logitech has an extremely large reseller network. So we thought, what if we got the resellers to compete in a competition to install the equipment into a meeting room? And this idea grew, and it became the Video Installation World Cup. So we have been taking this around the world, believe it or not. The first one was here in Stockholm, and then we went to Oslo, Copenhagen, and we just finished up the Barcelona event some months ago. And I can give you an insight into this, and probably one of the best ways to do it is just to let the video roll here from the event.
9 out of 10 meetings today.
Hopefully we're getting the audio through
online.
there, and you can hear it.
But let's be real.
I can't hear myself.
Without those legends,
I'll let it roll
the
just so
ones
you
making
can
sure
enjoy
the
it.
tech runs flawlessly, none of it would be possible. Because right here, right now, we're about to crown the world champion of video installation from the city of Barcelona. Let's get ready to install!
Okay, thank you, Andreas. So that is the end product, if you like, one of the pieces of video we made off the back of the event. But what you're seeing here is reseller teams competing to install the Logitech equipment on walls that we had installed in the venue. And we made a game out of it. We essentially made a competition between resellers that Logitech could bring everyone together in a physical event, and we live streamed it to all of their colleagues. So some of these resellers are massive companies, and they have thousands of employees. So we streamed it to the thousands of employees at the company, the friends and family. We had very high engagement because these competitors had some moments of fame. And so they wanted, their friends and family were watching them compete in another country to basically install video equipment on a wall to simulate a meeting room space in an office building. So this was fantastic. A huge success, and it continues to scale. We're going to other countries with it, and sponsors are getting involved, and it's getting bigger and bigger. So another example I can give you quickly is also Microsoft. They have the Microsoft Excel World Championships, which is quite similar, very much a competitive environment, but they've gamified a spreadsheet, which, if you can gamify a spreadsheet, you can gamify anything, in my opinion, because spreadsheets are boring. But this is the idea. You could take the boring and turn it into an actual competition. So here we're seeing their event in Las Vegas, where different Excel wizards are competing at a console, at a station, and there's a live audience, and it's live streamed to thousands around the world. And the commentators, everything you'd expect for perhaps an esports competition, and all of the flashy graphics that we often have on these things to keep the audience engaged. It's a lot of fun. So thank you, Andres. So, really back to what I think my thesis is, that, why can't any company, even if you have a sort of, I say boring product, no one thinks of their products as boring, but if you have a product that you don't think could be gamified, I think you should spend some time and actually think why. And at the end, I'll give you the opportunity to ask me for some suggestions in the show notes. I will get back to you with some of my ideas, because, we're a bit of an idea engine here at Smooth Views. And we've got some great ideas for gamifying your business and, being the first in your industry to do it. And, it's really going to stand out. And, people out there are just looking for something different. Quite often we open up our feeds on a business level and it's just the same thing, some basic HR stuff or some very vanilla case study that is not so exciting. So we need to come up with new ways of engaging. And also I'll note that I think live stream, and I mentioned this on a previous video, I think live streaming is a real opportunity to, as an antidote to the AI generated content that seems to be growing day by day. And you can imagine in a year from now, our feeds are just going to be full of AI content. And, our brains are going to know that. I know it's getting very good, but we're going to get this sort of feeling that a lot of this is just AI generated. So the thing about live content is that you can't really fake it. I mean, I suppose you could if you really wanted to, but, it's Tuesday here, we're in Stockholm. It's me. I'm a real person talking to you about a real thing with no script, just freestyling and sharing some thoughts with you. So, this is real stuff. It's authentic. Let's just call it that. I think, I've just made a quick list here. I'll run through it. To summarize, the thing we learned from the Logitech and Microsoft events is that, you're bringing together partners anyway. You probably have an event, annual event or a quarterly event. So why not gamify part of it and add this competition live element to it, either at the end or in a break, and you can have a physical audience there enjoying it and also a live audience online who can be watching it on LinkedIn or YouTube or wherever they get their content. I mentioned the fresh marketing content. This is something different. Live has a different poppy feel to it than pre-recorded or scripted content. So, dig those people out in the organization, the ones that are always chatting around the coffee machine. I guarantee it, they're probably quite good chatting on camera too. So get those and do some testing and start creating live content. I mentioned it's a frontier. You can share the costs. It's quite expensive to do a physical event, especially if you're just doing it for this competition. I recommend, as I said, bolting it onto an existing event, an expo or a conference, so the cost is already accumulated for the venue. But ask sponsors. You're marketing this game, so ask sponsors within your industry or network to share some of the cost. And you'll be surprised how willing people are willing to do it in order to just get access to some content, something different, be part of something unique. It's a network boost, of course. You're involving lots of other people. And if you're doing it with resellers, many companies out there have hundreds, thousands of resellers. If you're involving them, then, you're bringing them closer to you. You're reminding them that your products are different and why they are different. And the game itself can be a celebration of the products, especially if you find an elegant way of baking those into the competition. And finally, as I mentioned, the Logitech Video Installation World Cup is now a global franchise, if you like. We're doing it in different countries, and it's a huge success, and it's fun, and people really enjoy it. So I think that's the idea. You can try this, and then if it works, you have the opportunity to scale it into other countries and see where it goes. So before I finish up, there's a couple of things I thought, okay, let's just do some brainstorming quickly. I threw together some ideas about what other companies might do. And if anyone from Dyson is listening right now, then perhaps you want to take this idea on board. What about the Tidy Up World Cup? And instead of having walls where you're mounting equipment, maybe you have different rooms on set that are messed up in different ways. And then terribly conditioned floors, and then you use using Dyson's products to tidy the floor, and you're competing to do it in the fastest time. So, and then there'll be judges, obviously, assessing the quality of the cleanup effort. But that's a cool way of taking a product. A vacuum cleaner is somewhat boring, but actually gamifying it. So something for Dyson. If anyone's listening from Dyson out there, then hit me up. I'd love to pitch that concept to you. Also, Spotify. We all love Spotify. I actually was thinking about this the other day because there are a few artists out there, John Legend and Michael Bublé, they got discovered at weddings, which is pretty cool, before they became famous. So I thought, what about a competition, the Wedding Singer World Cup? Wouldn't that be something where people can enter themselves who are established wedding singers, and perhaps the winner of that competition then goes through to some kind of special Spotify listing, and maybe they become famous and we discover a new talent. But that's a vertical. It's taking a product that actually, the Wedding Singer World Cup could be a really fun thing to compete in. So if anyone from Spotify is listening to this, then hit me up, and I'd also like to help you out with the Wedding Singer World Cup, and maybe I'll sing a few notes for you as well, because I can actually sing a few good songs late at night. It's possible. So good. Well, I think that's it. I hope I've at least sparked an idea in your head, especially if you're in the marketing business or you own the company and you really feel like, how do we create something interesting from our products and come up with a game that your products and services are integrated with, and celebrate the ecosystem. If it's resellers or customers, get them to compete with your products, make it fun. And then you'll be amazed by the quality of the content that comes out of it, and actually how interested people are just to see something fresh and different. We all love a competition. It engages us. It gets us clicks. We get excited, and it's repeatable. You can do this at scale and do it in other places. So I've hoped you enjoyed this quick one. Sorry for taking up a bit more than 5 minutes. Like I said, if there's anything you want to put down in the comments or notes, I'd be happy to answer it. If you have an industry or a business, then put it down in the comments, and then I'll put together a suggestion for you on how you might be able to gamify it. I'd love to do that. It's a fun thing to do. So on that note, I thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you.